Hello. You know what time it is. M. Uh, Coming up this week, guess what we got? Spring break. And if you're close to my age, it's a whole lot different now. I used to be like, spring break. I don't even remember. But I know it was a lot different than what I'm about to go do, which is like, I was just writing out our spring break adventures because, oh my God, I've had all this free time during the week and now I don't. Yay! 'Cause the kids are going to be with me all day. And guess what? Then it's going to happen. Then they're going to go back. And then summer's going to happen. And I'm going to be like, woo! Yeah. So I was just like the evolution of like adulthood, right? Like there's a part of adulthood that's like when you're in your 20s and you're like, this is amazing. I'm an adult. I get to do. I used to love to like eat cereal for dinner. Because I was like, I'm an adult, I could do that. And then I was like, oh, it's kind of depressing that all I can do is afford cereal. So there's that part of like your 20s, right? And then there's that part where you're like, I could do whatever I want. I'm an adult. I'm gonna get a jug of white Zinfandel and drink it. And then you're like, oh my God, this is probably not a good idea. And then like, and now mind you, if you had kids in your 20s and all that, and you're like, oh, I didn't get to do any of that, and now like your kids are grown and you're like my age and you're like, party! All props to you. I happen to have children later in life, so I had a blast in my 20s and 30s. I had a good old time. I was I've been doing comedy since I was 21, so I also had a lot of road adventures, and I'm gonna tell you something. They weren't all glamorous, but they sure were fun. And it's so funny now that I'm gonna be 44 in July, and I'm like, it's spring break. Well, we have to find out where there's not a lot of people, because as I get older, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about people. And but when you have kids, the places you go to, other parents are like, where can we bring our kids to like entertain them? So yeah, I'm making it's my list for spring break is totally different now as a woman in her 40s with two children. Like when I was making my list, like, oh, we're gonna go here or there. Actually, I never traveled like to out of town places when I was younger because I didn't like the crowds. I didn't like that you didn't get deals. So I'd be like, we're not going to Cancun because I grew up in New York. I was like, not during spring break. No, we're going after spring break when they give you all the free stuff, which was great. Um, but I'm like, oh, my list now, like, oh, we have to make sure we have sandwiches packed and snacks and extra clothes and extra underwear just in case we have an accident and a lot of sunscreen and, a jacket because California is like super hot during the day and then super freezing like 5 minutes later. Um, so yeah, it's just a whole different vibe. And that's fine. I'm a little tired anyway. Like, I don't need to go out every single night for, spring break. I don't even know what that, I don't know. I mean, I'm out every single day. Who knows? At this point, I feel like I need like a whole month to like recuperate from life. And then by like the third day, I'd be like, okay, I'm fine. Let's just go back to it. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I need a vacation. Like the conundrum of adulthood. Adulting. Okay, so I will let you know how this goes next week. Bye.